This is why I feel that financial freedom for financial advisors is so important. You get an advisor that has $1 million mortgage, $1,000 car payment. What kind of advice are they actually going to be given?
The advice that helps them to continue that lifestyle.
And the second that the market drops 50% in value and they lose half of their income, now what happens? This is the stuff that we have to be aware of. So there's a bit of process that we have is, you've been working with us for quite a while and we've worked with a lot of different representatives. Finding clients, finding representatives has always been one of the biggest challenges. And, what I've always said is one of the most important things is to cast the broadest possible net first. And whether you're doing prospecting for individual clients or you're looking for representatives to work with a firm, we want to make sure to put out the broadest message possible. But once we get some sort of interest from an individual, then it's a bit of an interview process. So give me an idea, Jason, like when you're talking, you have a representative, maybe you came across through a LinkedIn post or someone that showed interest of joining the firm. What are some of the things that you typically talk about?
The ones that start with, as I was growing up, my reality or what I learned from my parents money-wise or what I saw from my family and close circle, that when it came to money, we were in a situation that we couldn't get ahead or whatever it was. And I wanted it, put a drive into them to be able to get themselves and help others to not be in that situation or that type of situation. It ties back to that they're looking for ways that they can serve and be of service.
Now we get that, like sometimes when a lead or representative gets to you, by that time they've already gone through a bit of a funnel, if you will. So the purpose of when we advertise and we're out there talking, we're out there, mailings, whatever we're doing to get interest, our messaging is eliminating a lot of representatives who already aren't a fit for what we do or how we think.
Right.
There's a few instances where I've talked to representatives before, and kind of along the same lines as what you asked, which is like, what got you in the financial services industry? I hear a lot where somebody went to college for one thing, then they ended up working for a wirehouse firm or Fidelity or customer service type operation, and then has this itch to go out on their own or go work as an advisor because they saw the success of someone else and the money that they're making because of what they're doing. That's a huge red flag. I think it's very important to find people who are transactional in life and to find somebody who's truly about offering service and themselves selflessly to clients to try to make their clients, put their clients in a better situation. My story, like everyone asks me, like, why did I get in the business? It's because my dad was an accountant for years and got me interested in stock markets and investing and business and finance and all the stuff that goes along with it. But when I got into the business, it wasn't because I knew that that could lead to a nice house. It wasn't because I knew that it could lead to having a nice car or dressing a certain way or having a lifestyle. The reason I got into business is because the system that I saw, I felt was broken a bit, and that there wasn't enough creativity to be able to explore the way that I wanted to explore. The outcome of that is all this other stuff, this community that we built and the advisors that have come aboard, all the different things, all the challenges that we've overcome for everyone, trying to figure out what drives people and how to get them focused on what's the most important to them. Unfortunately, it comes down to finances.
And that brings up another great point, John. The type of rep that would not do well in portfolio medics is the type that needs
well, first of all, let's talk about the basics of it. First of all, it needs possibly a salary because that's not our thing. How do we operate at Portfolio Medics when it comes to income, earning income?
Based upon the book of business you have at your built.
So if it's based on the book of business that you built and it's not a salary that you get, the question now becomes what? What is the upside potential of an advisor that their income is based on their client base? Probably the level of service that you can give the people that you're going to be working with.
Right.
You know, at the end of the day, I see a lot of times how, you know, advisors will come in and they'll hear some guys and gals say, I want to get to 100 billion. I want to get to 200 million. They're putting the dollar number on how they want their practice to go. And then like, put the brakes on. You know, this isn't about the money. My next question is, how many households do you want to serve? Because they don't have any idea a lot of times how many they can. Now let's do the math backwards, because I always say, let's start at the end. Charlie Munger, always invert the question. Always look at the end first and then work your way backward. If I know that a representative wants to make X amount of dollars in the business, then we can do the math based on where they live, based on the clients they're going to serve. Are they high net worth? Are they mom and pop blue collar? Because one of the biggest mistakes that I see is where an advisor comes in and they feel like they're going to conquer the world. And I always use the analogy in this about doctors, for instance. You have a doctor that's a family physician, general practitioner, versus a brain surgeon that specializes in a certain kind of cancer. What are the earnings potentials between the two? It's really because the specialty and the focus. So when I'm talking to a representative, to me, it's really important to not only establish what that end goal is going to be. And what I mean by end goal, it could be, Jason, what's the most important thing to you in your life? I'm not meaning you to answer that, but I'm just saying, that's the question. Is it family? Is it charity? Everyone has their own priority. So when I talk to representatives that come to the firm, I'm first and foremost most interested in what their end goal is. And if they say, I don't know, I've never thought about it, then we have to pause. They can be excited about finance and they can be excited about the business and they can be excited about talking to people. But in order to put that into play, you have to have a goal in mind and to be able to have a plan set up to get to that goal. So the excitement's there, the dedication's there, the education's there, the personality's there, the drive, the motivation, the will, the desire, all of that's there. Now, what is it that you're trying to do? How many households do you want to service? What does your typical profile look like your household? Now let's take that information combined with what we're doing and how you present and develop a plan for you so you can get to that point. Every rep at the firm is different that we have. We have some that are, they make most of their money maybe on their tax planning practices. And this is just kind of a sidecar. We have some representatives who talk nothing about taxation. They don't do any planning. They don't do anything except for talking about managing assets. And they might even say, I don't even work with clients that have less than $500,000 of investable assets. That's a totally different person than someone who's working a tax practice who's willing and able to take $5,000 and $10,000 Roth accounts, right? Two totally different practices. The question is, for that person that's specializing in high net worth, how many client households do they need versus someone who's working a tax practice to make the same type of revenue? The question is it meeting the goal of the person that's trying to accomplish that task? And if it fits on the tax person's side, perfect. If it fits on the guy with the high net worth side, perfect. Right. That's where we're supposed to be. That's what makes the conversation so much easier, is having that end goal in mind, making sure that no stones left unturned. What I find with a lot of advisors are, it's kind of going back to the story about the guy who makes the shoes, the cobbler. His kids usually don't have shoes, right? The painter usually has the worst looking house on the block because you're serving everybody else first and you don't tend to take care of yourself. what I love to do, why I love to do what we do. One of the things I asked AI early on is I was like, are other firms asking their representatives about their personal finance situation? Well, when I asked that question a year ago, the answer was no. That's not a common thing for firms to get involved in, is their representatives' personal lives.
You know why?
Why do you think that is?
Let me answer that with a question. Why do you think we had a bad experience with our last booking agency?
It could be. No, the thing is, I don't care what the rest of the industry does, because I know that the community that we built appreciates the fact that we want to get involved on that level. It appreciates the guys and gals that are with us when they need help through a financial decision of their own, that they can pick up the phone on a Saturday night and call us, and we'll be there to help them. With the thousands of clients that we've serviced over the years, there's rarely something that we haven't seen before. A situation, rarely. We've seen thousands of scenarios. So it's really kind of cool that we can sit there and be that anchor as part of a team, but one of the anchors in the financial decisions of our reps' lives too. I think that's super cool. The phrase that I get a lot from advisors I hear that are new to the firm is, I felt like I was on an island before.
Yes.
Alone. There's a lot of financial advisors around. Everybody's after the same thing, right? And to feel alone during that process has to feel horrible. So I love the fact that I just got an email 2 weeks ago from one of our new reps. I get emails every once in a while, and this one was along the lines of that. It was, I felt like it was an island before, and I just really appreciate the fact that you're there to support. I'm like, man, that's all it took. But the thing is, it's more than just that.
Correct.
Because you can have the will and desire and drive, but then if you don't have the strategy, right? So that's a big one, which is, holy crap, now we got all these tools, we got all this stuff. How do I start talking? The answer is pretty simple. It's be the psychiatrist. Don't be the math piece. You have to ask the questions to be able to solve the problem. How do you know what problem to solve if you don't know the right questions to ask?
Because when you don't know the right problems to solve, you just start talking about what you think the problem is. Early on, when I first started recruiting, I just started off with how awesome the firm is, how it's the impact that it changed my life. All the things that we talked about, that this opportunity is provided and allowed me to earn. I was ready to preach, not ready to listen, and not ready to ask the questions. I keep my calendar open and then empty, and I've done more business that way than having it just full of meetings all the time.
Yeah, it's quality over quantity for sure. It's quality over quantity. But it's a lot of conversations, and you have to add the conversations, and you have to know the right questions to ask. There's very simple questions to ask. It's, are you 100% confident that you're going to be able to retire when you want to? And what are the biggest concerns? What's keeping you up? Knowing where you are right now, what would you change if you could? Let's just start with that. So we get the representatives come over to the firm. There's a lot of tools that we'll use to be able to help them as much as possible. One of my favorite tools is a system that we use called Kolbe.
I love Kolbe.
KLBE. But basically what it allows me to do is when I go back to the representatives, I look at the reps, is I have all of them take Kolbe that are into it. It is an assessment that allows me to understand their own internal operating system. In other words, how they naturally do things. So for you, for instance, I know that you love new ideas, fresh, new directions, and you love to handle unusual situations, specifically people, and sculpt them to show them the better way. I'll see a lot of times representatives in this industry, they're out chasing sales programs. And I get a lot of questions from advisors that come in. They're like, so what kind of sales training do you have? I was like, the best way we're going to do it is together, you and me, with your clients on the phone, or Zoom call, however we have to do it, until the point where you're comfortable. There's a million different ways to do it. But the only way we're going to know how you should be doing it is, number one, identify what the end goal is for you first. Then start backfilling and figuring out how do we get to that end goal. Now once we have that system in place, we can figure out what is your best approach to get you in front of the people that are going to resonate with you. Because I can take an advisor and I can put him in a group of people in front of a person that is very, very comfortable to them. I know exactly what your profile is. I know exactly the type of client that you should be going after. I know exactly the type of client another one of our reps who's the opposite of you should be going after. Mm-hmm. And knowing that, I think, has been one of the keys to our success over the years, is trying to understand the individual and helping them naturally produce the best results for the what they're doing.
And what you're describing there is this feeling that I've been getting from people that are at the stage of thinking about going independent, or wanting to have those first couple conversations. It's the thought and then the feeling that there's something more, there's something better, there's a different way.
Yeah, there's always still that level of block of okay, there's a better way to get there, but I'm still not comfortable getting there, doing it. And that's where I love where we are today, is to where we have so many representatives across the country that have all gone through the same process. John or you, we've taken them through the same process. And we can introduce those individuals to people who think like that, who do like that.
Right.
And once they make that connection, it feels so good, because now they know they're part of a team with like-minded thinkers and doers. For instance, I know not to put you with another one of our reps I'm thinking about, because it's a bit of an oil and water of how you do business. Not a good idea.
It would not be a good idea to pair me with somebody who's a very high follow through. If we are working on a group project where the lines are drawn as to what responsibilities are.
Yeah.
If I'm spearheading that initial get them excited, and then I can hand them off to somebody else that has that follow through to be able to continue where I leave off. That's a partnership that is unstoppable. But if you pair me with somebody who is a higher follow through and a lower quick start, you have someone that is stuck in process and in a specific way on how things are supposed to be done, A, B, C, D, E. But then I'm probably not a good fit to work with that person, because I'm going to see their process of A, B, C, D, E, and then see that I can be efficient and go from A to D, and then jump B and C, because it's bullshit.
The beautiful thing about that is the realization of you starting to understand yourself and understanding that it's who you've always been. It's just the way you naturally operate. It allows you more freedom, because you can avoid the things that are going to make you procrastinate more. So for instance, if I told you before you go start talking to people, then you need to go calendarize everything and build an absolute start to finish system. We all have to do things in a way that fit who we are, with the goals aligned to who we are, using our enthusiasm, our passion, our motivation, our will, our desire. We had some reps at the firm in the past that they've come in and they weren't successful. They couldn't get past whatever was in their way. I'll call it head trash. And in some instances like that, John and I feel, and you do as well, it's our obligation to let them go. In other words, what's called U5 in our industry. Look, you've been with us a year. You haven't had a successful client relationship. You haven't been able to bring a client on. You need to go find something that's going to work better for you, because obviously we're not the right fit. And we'll be the first ones to tell someone that. Well, right? Yeah, we've done it before. I think it's the truthful and honest thing to say. The potential for what we do goes way beyond anything finance. especially if your goal is to serve people. Way beyond it.
But there's also a mindset of you have to be able to get past the thought process of where's the money coming from while building.
Well, there goes back to the personal. Like, if we come across representatives in debt up to their eyeballs, what kind of decisions are they going to make with their clients, with their process and business? Are they going to do things in a way that really they shouldn't be doing because they're trying to solve the other issue that they have, right? This is why I feel that financial freedom for financial advisors is so important. You get an advisor that has $1 million mortgage, $1,000 car payment. What kind of advice are they actually going to be given?
The advice that helps them to continue
That lifestyle.
that lifestyle.
And the second the market drops 50% in value and they lose half of their income, now what happens? There's how many financial advisors own, without a mortgage, their own home? A lot don't. A lot don't. I will tell you, the feeling of owning your own home far outweighs interest rate arbitrage by investing the difference. So my whole goal, and I hear Dave Ramsey talk a lot about getting the house paid off as quickly as possible. I cannot agree more. I cannot agree more. Because it frees you. It frees you to go do the next thing. When we have reps that come over to the firm, the ones that want to get those type of discussions, we'll step up and put our dad hats on. And we'll be their guides in that aspect of things. So how many advisors actually have an advisor? How many house painters have a house painter? This is the problem that we get into, but then the house painter's house looks like crack. The cobbler's kids don't have any shoes. Wouldn't it be amazing to be the advisor to other advisors? That's what we created. And I see advisors, probably some of you watching this, you're like, I never hire you because your numbers, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, let's talk about your personal situation first. How's your retirement looking? What are your goals? Oh, everything's great? Then great, you don't need me. But your house, you're underwater, you're up to your eyeballs in debt, your marriage is about ready to fail because you're financial stress, and you're telling me that you don't need help?
Brings on a great question. How do you help somebody get past the ego about needing a big front, about needing a big need?
So there's always going to be an advisor that says, wow, I couldn't work for a firm that doesn't have a big name or established, been around 100 years, right? What you're seeing is there's no sense in trying to convince the person that there could be a different way. If that's what they need to lean into that and go that direction.
What do you have here? Sometimes you need the DeWalt.
Yeah.
DeWalt is the name. Some people need that name. When I did construction, I was the DeWalt guy. And then it hindered me to a point because there's great things about DeWalt, but there's also negatives about DeWalt. And being stuck to the thought process of DeWalt's the brand because it's the name brand, it's the big one. I learned over time that as greater things as DeWalt does, there's new brands like Hilti, their SDSs were better.
Your Kolbe profile tells me that the best way for you to be able to talk about what you do is to use physical props to do so. The industry as a whole has a very specific profile of what an advisor should look like. There's a profile for it, a specific Kolbe profile, actually. It leans away from advisors who use physical props. Why? Well, because finance is a very heady thing. How many people use physical props to be able to illustrate a point? How many people could benefit from using something physical to illustrate a point? The answer is 75%. Statistically, interesting now.
Okay.
Financial advisors, for the most part, do not use physical props. They don't need to. So what we've just done is we just taken 25% of the population trying to handle investing for the 75% that need talked about a different way. So really important from a coaching perspective, when I have an advisor comes in with your type of profile, I need to make sure that you have the physical prop to be able to present to the client. And prop is kind of a
General term for where it is.
an item, a physical way of talking about the world, showing, illustrating, presenting, rather than closing your eyes and talking about numbers, because that'll kill you.
What I need to do, I need to go and close the loop about purchasing about the size of this, of a working ship.
There you go. Okay. Yeah, exactly.
Because it is, we've talked about this before.
Yeah, it works. And it works. And it works for 75% of the people. There's a process that we have that talks about investing that is really unique to the industry, that makes a lot of sense. And once you see it, you can't unsee it because you're physically seeing this happen. And it resonates with about 75% of people that are out there, because 75% of people, they'll learn, they'll be able to take action based on seeing this happen. That's why infomercials are so great. But no, representatives, I feel like a lot of them are listless. Look, if an advisor comes in, odds are, if there's a guy or gal out there that is financially stable already, they have a clear plan, they have a clear system, it works for them, they are going to meet their goals that they've already established, they don't need us. My question is, first of all, though, because I still don't like that one to die, compared to what?
Right.
Have you looked at everything? Because only then can you really make a sound decision. And I always say, don't ever stop questioning. Don't ever stop looking. Always question. Always challenge. Always, for you and for your clients. Have to do it. Because that's the only way you can get ahead. However, not everybody's built to do that. And part of our process, our funnel process, through the advertisements we run, through the way we talk about things, we have to spend our time with the people that are best aligned to how we think. And that's why our ads are created the way they are, is we're looking for a very specific type of person.
You know, we talked about my friend Victor Drobnik a little while ago. And to piggyback on that story, the rest of what I was going to say, I went to a fundraiser with him. There was a comedian who spent many years in New York successfully. I've never heard of him, but there is a spot on like TV shows, like Rachel Ray, insert talk show, where a comedian comes and entertains in between segments. So he spent a bunch of years doing that in New York, then moved down south to Florida. But in between that, he also realized that his passion in life, aside from comedy, is cooking, and worked with a bunch of Michelin chefs, really delved into his craft. He live auctioned a night where he comes to your house and cooks for you and 7 of your friends and entertains the entire time. I made sure I had business partners on me that day. And the entire day was a success for me because I was able to walk up to him or RC, shake his hand and say, I help people change their lives. I have ideas. I want to talk to you because I can help take what you're doing. You can amplify it to something that you may or may not have felt is possible if you're interested. And then I walked away. Whether he calls me or not, that's on him. But the potential I see with this dude is he is so comfortable talking. He was talking to a room of 400 people, and not only talking, but only calling people out that weren't paying attention. People that are on their phone. Somebody got up and went to the bathroom right when he first started talking, and he immediately just latched onto that and was like, "Where in the hell are you? Go, I just started. I'm not that ugly." That type of thing. That level of drive, that level of want to serve, that level of creativity is the basis of what I feel is a successful, beyond successful type of person for finance. And that's the level of passion I'm looking for. Everything else could be taught. We don't know what we don't know until we know what we don't know. Everything that I've done in life, I've either taught myself or I've had the mentors in my life, such as you, that have given me the knowledge and latitude to be able to forge my path and the direction in life. So that is the type of person at the core of it all, that what we're looking for, and that portfolio matters. If you have an inkling thought that there's something more, or that you are meant for more, or to do more, and you don't have that expansive feeling when you get up every day, then we need to have a conversation. Because I did 8 years in a career that on paper was great for me. It provided a stability, insurance, a little bit of pay, but I was on 2 different blood pressure medications, a couple antidepressants. I was over 400 pounds because while I had this drive to help, and I did that because it was customer service, it was having to fit into a preconceived mold, to be a cog, instead of creating something that you can take pride in. Yes, we have to follow rules in finance. We have, there's rules that we have to do. I mean, we gotta follow. But having the ability to be able to work in the manner that suits me, it allows me to be a better service for my clients, to be in a clear head, to be emotionally present at a level where I may not have been able to be before. Because when you're constantly hitting the next button, it becomes transactional. And that transactional is what was killing me. Because it's I know what's wrong with your paperwork. And legally I can get in trouble if I correct it. So I have to turn you away.
Look, man, at the end of the day, there's a lot of miserable people out there. And when you zoom it all the way down into just financial advisors, proportionally there's going to be miserable advisors, right? They're not the right place for that, right? All we're doing is creating a little bit of an oasis for certain creatives that want to do things a little bit differently. We're doing it for them, but really, we're doing it for us.
Correct.
Because we're the same.
Yeah. There's a mindset that the people who serve in life get to, and I think is a pitfall. And I see this in social work a lot. My wife was, very heavily involved in social work for the majority of her professional career, be it child welfare to working, with DCF as an investigator, to licensing foster homes and teaching, those skills to new foster parents, to quality assurance. She was very crispy when she left, because it's a system that just uses and abuses you and then makes you think that you are here, that you don't matter, because everything that you need to compartmentalize everything that's going on up here and put it out, because it doesn't matter, because you're here to serve these people, and you better be a robot because you have things you have to do and serve them and help those people, and then you're not allowed to be anything else aside from 100% solid 1,000% of the time, because that's what's expected.
But there are definitely people who thrive in,
You can thrive in that type of structure, and you can thrive in structure, and you can thrive in a structure where it's very high paced and it's very demanding. Those are all possible, but all those things are able to exist and coexist. However, when you are expected to forego your own humanity and your own peace of mind and to blindly go and just do what you're told to do, that feeling never leaves a person.
there's plenty of advisors out there, yes, that are in that kind of position.
Yeah, I know. And that feeling, it doesn't go away. It just quietly hangs out.
Right.
And it quietly becomes a little louder. And until it becomes not debilitating, but where you start taking a couple extra minutes in the shower, letting the water just pave your head going, what am I doing? Where when you get to the office or that first appointment where you're going to be a couple minutes late because you're having a hard time turning off the car. Not because the song is on that you love, because we all have Spotify, we all have, headphones and things, or whatever, music streaming platform. We can take our entertainment on the go now. We have a computer in our pockets. It's that feeling that starts down in our gut and expands to where it's not expanding you, it's expanding out to putting its hooks to drag him down because you're not meeting somebody else's expectation, or you're not doing the things that are expected of you to meet somebody else's system, where for you to thrive in this industry, in this world, take finance out, take portfolio mix out of it, take what we do out of it. If you are constantly in a situation, a system, in a place that puts you in a peace of mind or in a mind state, but that doesn't allow you to question with wonder instead of questioning with the why me, or why is this happening, those questions become shouts, become ringing in your head that overshadow your ability to be able to function in life, to be able to serve, to be able to expand, to be able to go through that.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine ever having to live like that. So yeah, I think it just has to be our goal. It just keep on our track, and the doors open, and education and questioning, and making a change, making a difference.